It's the Mind That Matters with Lisa Snow. Grooming for Violence, a Pathway to Authoritarianism. Grooming by media, it's not just for sexual predators. What would you think if someone told you that you should be prepared to kill every person you meet? Pause for a second and let that sink in. If they told you you should be prepared to kill everyone you meet always. This brings me to grooming. Grooming is a subtle way to influence people into doing something or supporting something they would not normally do or support. Grooming is very common, much more common than we realize. For example, before any major war, a leader must convince its citizens that the war is necessary and is really the only means to peace. Genocides are another example. There's many steps to genocides, but one of the primary ones and most important ones is convincing people that the people they're targeting are less than human and that their demise may in fact even help society. The goal is to shift people's thinking to accept actions that they would normally strongly resist. There is an attempt to make those things look reasonable and justified. Grooming will not only make people accept these actions, but actively promote them. Now for an example of subtle grooming. This is not the whole entirety of grooming because it's a process, but here's a principal step.
What do you say to those folks that live in neighborhoods, maybe like Allen, Texas, where they don't think crime will ever hit them and they don't need to prepare? What would you tell them?
Again, going back to the avoid, do not offend. Run away like your life depends on it. Everyone needs to be physically fit and run fast. Like I said, a moving target is a lot harder to shoot at than one that's sitting still, being stationary. So move, move, move. Second thing is to barricade. Try to put something between you and that gunman. Barricade, block away. And then the third is prepare to defend. And just like a hornet's nest, everybody comes together and everyone attacks. Even if you're unarmed, take whatever you have at hand, grab it, rock, whatever it may be, and go ahead and attack that guy. Enough people coming together at once will take out that armed gunman.
This was the setup. First, get the audience into position of thinking themselves as victims. Then, bring on a fast-talking guy to heighten their anxiety. Fear and anxiety cause people to defer to authority, and the fast-talking guy is considered authority in this case. And then he hits the people with this.
Always have a plan. Prepare for the worst and hope for the best with everything you do. And just like General Mathis once said, be polite, be professional, but have a plan to kill everyone you meet because you never know.
When people's defenses are down, when they're most likely to defer to authority, the authority tells them that they need to be prepared to kill every person they meet, everyone they meet. And now see how that seems a little different now than when I first mentioned it? And this, even if people do not take this advice 100%, does begin to condition people to see threats where traditionally they would not have seen those threats or where threats did not exist. And we've seen that in headlines. The next logical question is, why would they do this? Think about a society where people are armed and ready to shoot everyone they meet. Even a small percentage of these people would make society unworkable because it would make society completely unsafe for everyone. It would have a destabilizing effect. People would also be living in fear. When people are fearful, there are some known unconscious psychological effects. They tend to unconsciously defer to authority, and they will start to accept the leadership of a strongman who promises to stabilize things. None of this is consistent with a democracy. It is an effort to usher in autocracy. So, what to do? For starters, we need to pay attention and we have to think for ourselves. When you hear media or someone in media say, be afraid, step back and be afraid of them and what they are pushing. Understand watching media slash news, quote, news, unquote, is not a passive exercise. Pay attention or turn it off. They rely on people who are paying partial attention to inject these ideas into the public consciousness, to groom people for things that don't seem too connected to anything horrible until the connections are clear and it's too late. This was The Mind That Matters with Lisa Snow, Grooming for Violence, A Pathway to Authoritarianism.